Oh! Excellent. Make some good foil.
Right, we're doing a James Casey style podcast in the car. All the boys heading to the surf. So we got Victor Harris here. He's an Aussie. You grew up in Oz.
Grew up in Australia, been in Dubai for 21 years. So.
Yeah, no shit. So yeah, he's flown into Adelaide just for the day. Hence why we're doing a podcast in the car. Use every sparing minute. But we're heading down to the surf. Go have a session with you. Thought I'd just do a really quick one about your experience with four drive so far. Because
absolutely.
Yeah, you picked one up about 12 months?
No, about 8 months ago, I think.
Yep.
But basically, I picked it up. I'd been kiting, wing foiling, and picked it up. Actually, when I first got it, I didn't like it because I had experience with e-foils with I won't mention the brands, but the two major brands I had as well, just to muck around with the kids, and I didn't understand the difference in power and the difference in longevity of it running. Put it in the cupboard for a couple of months, got out wing foiling again when there was a lack of wind, got the foil drive going, and then I sort of said to myself, hold on. And I started getting into pumping as well. So the guys from Wake Thieves, I ordered the ideal setup, the Axis 1300 and the Slingshot Dwarf Craft 120. I ordered that setup, and one day I was bored, there was no waves and no wind. I thought, let me experiment and see if I can make this foil drive thing work on my
little board. What a can of worms that opened.
Absolutely. And I thought when I first tried, I thought it was impossible. But I don't like to fail, so I just kept pushing for the whole day, again and again and again and again, and somehow I got up. And that led me to trying a smaller wing, same size board, which is a 25 litre board.
Yeah.
And now I run most of the time an Axis 899 and this Slingshot Dwarf Craft 120 board. And I've gone from being 95 kilograms, and every morning when there's no waves, and being Dubai, we only get waves once every couple of weeks.
I
go out with I used to go out on the 1300, now I'll go out even on the 899 on flat water and just pump every morning. So I've gone from 96 kilograms down to 79
That's awesome.
kilograms, so almost 20 kilograms in 6 months.
You look like a different person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I started first talking to you on WhatsApp ages ago.
Yeah, I've totally changed.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is all my, I'm 53 years old now, my ankles, my knees, which I was having problems with, all those issues have gone because I'm going at it, keeping my body moving.
Yeah. And you're a busy guy, a bunch of companies and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Got to spend as much time as possible. Like, we've heard so many people say that, like, using a four drive is cheating, it's easy and all that kind of stuff. It's such a workout.
Absolutely.
The best line I've ever heard is somebody saying you're cheating. You're tricking yourself into a workout because it's fun. It's awesome.
Not at all.
And you go out and you have a ball.
Yeah. So my morning routine is, at the moment now 5 a.m. in Dubai. So I'll take a small battery.
Yep.
Head out and I get about 7 get-ups. Yep. And I'll pump the whole length of the beach, which is probably about 200-300 meters. Totally exhaust myself, and I'm talking like I'm absolutely exhausted. Bending over almost, I power back to the start of the beach again, and then do the whole line again 7 times in a row. Yeah. And that will be about 25 minutes of exercise.
Yeah. And that's just one small battery.
That's one small battery, and I'll normally run 3.
Yeah.
For that morning workout, and it's phenomenal. And what's quite funny is I'm getting more workout when there's less waves.
Yes.
So the more waves they are, the bigger the waves are, actually the less workout I'm getting.
Yeah.
Because I'm pumping even more. And now I'm addicted to the art range of foils, and I'll go out on flat water with an 899 and pump the hell out of it, turn the hell out of it, and have an amazing time.
Which there's absolutely no way. I mean, I don't know of any. I've never seen a video of anyone starting an 899. Like, I've never seen anyone out on flat water.
No, of course.
Yeah, but
boiling around an 899.
And if you look at the conditions that you have available to you,
correct.
Yep.
They are not conducive at any point to riding small boards with small wings.
Yeah.
It's just not even up.
You don't have the wind.
No,
you don't have
it's
the
not
waves.
it's not on the menu.
No.
And
exactly.
I found it interesting when I first met you and I was talking to you about it. you're talking to me about the gear that you're using, but also that you had previously had experience to the really big, powerful, well-known brand e-foils.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with them, but they're a very different kettle of fish.
Absolutely.
Which-
And no
some-
exercise as well.
Different.
Yeah,
Almost no
and it's a
exercise.
very different thing. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But also at the same point, it wasn't surprising. And I knew that you just hadn't found the niches to what it was designed for
Yep.
yet.
Yeah.
And you just needed to explore and play with that.
Yep.
And like most people do, you can make the system work very hard and not achieve much if you don't understand how to use
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
thrust and how to use your wing and your board, because it's a learning
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of our customers, they buy a unit, they're still relatively novice foilers because the amount of foiling time that they've had
It's minimal.
is very low. So you don't actually know much. You might have a lot of equipment, but your experience level is low relative to the amount of foiling time you have.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you bolt this thing on and you can start making all this gear work, and you get
Absolutely.
lots and lots of foiling time, and your progression goes boop, 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 really quickly, and then all of a sudden you can actually make use of the system for what it's truly designed for.
Yep.
Which is opening up waves and swell and conditions that are normally off the
them,
menu.
exactly.
You know, and I
And
think
for me coming back to Australia this trip, after
Yeah.
6 months of being in tiny little waves, all of a sudden I've got the skills to
Yeah.
jump on massive big swells,
Yeah.
and you can probably cut some video in
I was
showing
gonna
what
say,
I've been doing.
Yeah.
And it shocked me that I've gone from this guy who was a flapping chicken 6 months ago. And I don't know if you should show that video, but
Yeah.
really I was overweight and had no idea how to pump,
Yeah.
to being able to enjoy these incredibly big swells and joining waves together. It's phenomenal, the difference it's made to me.
Because you were towing foiling that day out of
Yeah, absolutely, both,
You've been
both.
towing, but then you've been grabbing the foil drive as
Exactly,
well.
in between,
There's
exactly.
other guys that want to jump behind
Yeah.
the ski.
And
all
that's the
stuff.
other thing to be said. Like, I absolutely love tow and foiling because
Yeah.
it's you're catching some massive waves,
Mhm.
getting some incredible speed. But that being said, I was out there foil driving at the same time. So when it wasn't my turn on the ski, I was out there foil driving at the same time,
Yeah.
and I'm still getting.
You're just a total addict.
I am totally addicted. I'm getting probably 3 times, maybe more, the rides of the jet ski who's
Yeah.
doing the tow-ins.
yeah,
And there's 3 guys on the jet ski
yeah, we've talked,
sharing the time as well. So
yeah.
Yeah.
infinitely more
We used
rides I'm
to
getting. So
we used to do tow-in stuff, but now that we're all doing the prone stuff with our own units and
Yep.
whatnot, I actually can't remember the last time we went out and did it,
Yep.
because everyone, when the conditions are on, we're all pretty keen to get
yep.
the
Get as
nice
many-
waves, and you got a driver and an observer. They get to do nothing.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
then the cadence of you catching a wave is very, very slow.
Yep.
Flick them on, they ride the wave, they fall
And then when
off,
you get caught on the inside without the foil drive,
try and
Yeah.
do the
Gotta
retrieval,
go find
get
them.
them on, get
Yeah.
the rope, try and get them back up on foil again, tow them out, then you miss the set.
absolutely.
There's a lot of wasted time. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
No,
It's just
A
a
lot of
very,
waste of time.
it's just a very different way to approach it. Whereas now, all 3 of us
Okay.
going out on our own little units.
Exactly. No observer, no
we're
jet
just-
ski to launch. You're in there and
and we're
gone.
catching as many waves as we can manage, and we're all having a ball. But the
Absolutely.
one thing I like the most is we're actually riding waves together,
Yes.
not just on your own,
Yep.
Yeah.
and we're being separated again. And that I
Yep.
enjoy that bit probably.
That's
more.
actually an interesting thing about foiling in general. When you're sharing a wave,
Yeah.
I like surfing where you're like,
Party
there's
waves,
that point where,
Yeah.
the sweet point where you need to be.
Yeah.
With foiling, it's such a big area. You can actually enjoy a wave with someone
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not feel you're pissing them off.
Yeah.
So, which is actually a cool part of it.
Yahooing and carrying on and chasing each other around.
And I've got to say, the other thing about the foil drive is when you get caught on the inside, and I was being pounded the other day in the Ballina lighthouse beach, and when I didn't have the foil drive, I got stuck on the inside. The jet ski couldn't get to me, spending a lot of time being beaten around by these big waves.
Yep.
But when I was out with the foil drive, even I got stuck on the inside
Yep.
with that new remote control, which
Yep.
comes
Yeah.
through much more powerful. I'm actually powering up, doing the duck dive,
Yeah.
keeping it running through the duck dive, and then jumping out the other side of the wave.
Yeah. And you're straight back out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the spot we're going to today, it's a massive long beach break, Middleton, South Coast, Adelaide. massive big Long Beach break, and when it's even 4 foot, 6 foot, I'm not a surfer traditionally.
Yeah, likewise.
I've never
I was a
surfed.
windsurfer, kite surfer.
Yeah, gotcha. So getting out through the whitewater is still something, for me, I'm just not used to it. I've not grown up duck diving and trying to paddle out through whitewater and all that stuff. I'm not used to it, and certainly when I started flying, I was quite scared of it when it was
absolutely
4 to 6 foot. And there's just no way. I actually loathed this place when we first started foiling, because it was just so, I was so worried about getting out, and then I didn't want to drive an hour down there and then not get out and then drive all the way home, all that kind of stuff. But exactly right, you can work your way through a bit of whitewater over there, go that way, duck dive, power up now as well, which is pretty cool.
I just laugh at myself. I'd laugh at myself sometimes when I'm just like avoiding the big wave coming in, sneaking off to the side. It's just like, how did I just do this? It's sort of like 20 years ago when I first started kiting. You're in the surf of kiting, and you pull back when there's a wave coming, you jump over the top of it.
Jump over it,
It's like,
run away
from it. It's that type of feeling. And
but that's even the same if you have a stack or something, you breach or you crash or whatever else, and you come up and there's another wave coming for you. You just crawl onto your board and just
off you go
motor over to the side.
Exactly.
Let it go and then sort yourself out. But
I'm just interested in your opinion of, as someone that has, you've got lots of toys and all the nice things, you've been a very successful person, and that gives you choices. This has been interesting looking at other people around the world in a similar scenario, and they've ended up enjoying riding a foil drive. And I know why that is, but I'm not going to tell you why that is. Be interested to see what you think.
For me, the most pleasure in life, be it windsurfing, kite surfing, wing foiling, surfing, the biggest pleasure we all have is riding a wave. It's riding that wave. When I'm kite surfing, it's that little swell you come down on, enjoy it. There's something about riding a wave. I can't explain it, but that's what it is. And I've got jet skis, wakeboard boat, sailboat, all the toys I need. They sit there doing nothing now because I can just go out with my foil drive. I have a
box and
and I've got quite a lot of batteries, and I've got a solar charger on my car, and a big backup battery. And I sit there, and as soon as I finish my first run, foil drive, I plug my battery in, and by the time I'm use my other 3 or 4 batteries, my other battery's ready to go. I can go all day. And when the weather's nice in Dubai, I'm going out at 6 a.m. to catch the first waves, and I'm back at 7 p.m.
And that's something that we've had to educate some people on, who are like, oh, if you use a motor, you're not going to get fit. And I have to argue with them and say, you've got to stop thinking like that, because the way my brain, the reason why I designed this thing was, I want to go out and enjoy the water. I want to go out and do physical exercise and enjoy foiling. But without the foil drive unit, to me, the conditions need to be really good. I need to be highly motivated to go out there and exert a lot of physical energy to try and catch a few waves. For me, as a business owner and a dad and many other things, my investment of time relative to what I got back out of it was quite low. And all I wanted to do was have more of the fun stuff without the crap stuff, which is the conditions aren't quite perfect, and
how many times you're blowing up your kite, and then the wind drops, and you can't go out.
Or the wave face is beautiful, but the offshore wind is a little bit too strong to even get on them. All these sort of silly idiosyncrasies.
Massively packed line up, right in that zone where you need that power to get up.
All these silly little idiosyncrasies that would prevent you from actually going. I have found, now that I have the foil drive in my life and have had it for years, I will go out probably 10 times more often. Good conditions, poor conditions, or great conditions is sort of irrelevant. I'm way more incentivized to go out, and not only for an hour and a half. If I can and I've got the time, I'll go out for 5 hours.
Exactly.
And I'm physically drained by the end of it, and I've had an absolute fill of waves. I'm stoked with it. But I just find it promotes you wanting to do the sport more, because the assurance and guarantee of having fun is there.
To be frank, I don't know of any conditions where I can't go out on. No waves, big waves. If there's massive big waves, you go and find a spot which is the opening of the mouth of the river, like at the Ballina bar. You go in there and you hide from the big waves and enjoy it. You go on an inland lake, whatever it is.
And I think your body transformation, without
It's
talking about your body too much, it's been amazing to watch. How fit you have
changed,
become.
absolutely.
Yeah.
These guys in Ballina I was with, doing the toe-ins, they were worried. I was like, oh, you need a break? I'm like, man, I'm just getting warmed up.
Good to go.
My fitness has gone through the roof. So,
Yeah.
But you'd known them in the past.
yes.
Yeah. So
And they were shocked.
they were shocked.
But only to their own level as well. They were shocked at how I could keep going.
Keep up.
My best mate who I was just with on this trip, he's a triathlete. I was running rings around him on how much time I could stay on the floor. Because my fitness has gone through the roof.
Oil fit too.
Yeah.
Like there is a specific fitness for certain
Absolutely.
tasks.
A real strange one. My other hobby, of all things, is ballroom dancing. That's going to freak you out. But my dance partner is shocked because all of a sudden my leg strength and my core strength is through the roof as well. So it's phenomenal. One other thing, living in a hot place like Dubai, when I just left there now, nighttime overnight temperature 40 degrees.
Yeah, right.
Daytime temperature 45 to 50. Water temperature over 39 degrees.
Oh.
Yeah.
And anything over 37, it's more than your body
It's a sweat
temperature.
Yeah.
You don't sweat, and especially in the water, you overheat.
Yeah.
And you simply can't pump for very long without having a heart attack, basically.
Yeah.
So that's the other nice thing about the four-wheel drive. I'm only having to pump when I really need to get the speed up to get those big waves.
Yeah.
And then I can just motor in between. But I'm getting exercise, which I can never do before.
Yeah.
So
Let's come back to the little ball though, unless you had something else.
I was just saying, the spot, some of the videos you've sent me, it's quite crowded.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting watch you be able to have the freedom to pick your lines, pick your waves, pick your spots without impinging on other people. Whereas if you didn't have the unit on there, you'd have to be right in the mix with everyone, stealing the premium wave.
to be foiling in the Dubai break, like a couple of days before I left, there was 118 surfers on a break which was maybe 50 metres wide.
Yeah.
And I'm just taking the waves from 500 metres out,
Yep.
bringing them all the way in, handing them off to the surface, goodbye, and going back out again, and not interfering with the normal surface whatsoever.
And I think that's
And in fact, they love me being there now because they can see when a set's coming through.
Yeah. What was your hand signals too?
Yeah, so two hands mean there's a big wave.
Big wave,
One hand means there's a small set coming through. And they all follow it now. They love me doing it.
So you're the spotter.
Works great.
And that's something I just wanted to bring up because having spoken to numerous customers all over the world, they've all had very similar experiences where when they put the unit on, they actually remove themselves from the crowded takeoff equation and they go elsewhere. And it's just this perceived misunderstanding that some people are like, oh, don't you think you're going in the water with that? And like, actually, mate, if I'm taking waves where you are, I'm not having fun.
No, exactly.
You won't see me.
Yep.
I'll be out
I'll
the
be
back or off to the left or off to the right, falling all over the place, and you can have your small little wave and ride because that's what you need.
Yep.
You need that premium takeoff point. But with foiling, as we all know, you don't actually need a breaking wave to have fun. You can have fun on all sorts of different bumps and swells.
In fact, the breaking wave is where you get off the wave normally.
Well, I agree. Yeah. Some people like to ride breaking
I
waves,
enjoy
but
the inside and so on. There are those big long breaks, but
you don't need
no,
to.
you don't need it.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be doing today. If there's anyone on the inside, they can have it. We'll be out the back having a ball.
And often when it's like high tide and the surface aren't getting that breaking wave anymore, I'm still enjoying it. It'll be a great ball.
Yeah.
One of the benefits I've never actually told you guys yet is that I've become the default lifesaver of the beach. Because whenever someone's in trouble, and honestly, the Dubai lifesavers try hard, their skills and resources are a bit low. The other day I pulled in a French lady and her two kids and the lifesaver for the middle of a rip. And we had a bit of a train going, all holding onto my legs as I towed them all in because they all got into trouble. It's quite some
We've
quite big
actually had a
sensitivity.
few stories of that. One up the Gold Coast at the headwaters there.
Yep.
A couple overseas. One of the funniest stories I've ever been told. Shout out to Matt over in Hawaii. He was learning to wing and couldn't come back upwind.
Yep.
So he would just put his forward drive on. He wouldn't even use it, and he'd wing and push to the other side of the lake. And then he'd lay on his back with his wing between his feet, and he'd lay on his back on his board and just set cruise control and just have a snooze. And he had the water safety come out and say, mate, are you alright? He's like, yeah, I'm just coming back upwind, like it's all good. So from that safety point of view, because like we never thought people would use a motor for winging.
Yep.
But for light wind winging,
It's
you
awesome
don't
for
need to
light
have
wind winging, yeah.
massive wings.
Yep.
You know, Dom did a lot of that in Oman before he, moved really into surfing.
Yep.
What you do. That safety aspect as well of like not having to worry about
Getting back.
getting blown downwind or
Exactly.
getting back from inshore. We've been doing a lot of downwinding lately, and the whole sort of sport has moved a lot into downwinding. That's high risk, high reward. Like it's it's very hard sport to learn and very physically demanding. James Casey just put a podcast that Paul and I did with him. We actually recorded it months ago now, but our first downwinders were awesome fun, and we got up and foiled the whole way down the coast. But we also had in the back of our mind that we had a paddle in our hand and we had a motor.
Yep.
And we've got two ways of getting back.
Yeah.
Even guys winging and stuff like that.
Yep.
If you pop a wing and breach and put a wingtip through your tube or anything like that,
You've got a chance of getting back.
So yeah, the safety side of things has been an interesting one that's come up a few times.
Very much so. Another thing I've done in Dubai? I've used the foil drive behind a boat, behind my wakeboarding boat, to foil behind the boat, but without using the rope.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's no reason to ever use the rope. It's actually fantastic, and you get so many more runs, and it takes all the stress out of getting up. And
we actually do that behind my boat sometimes.
okay, awesome.
And we have like 3 or 4 foil drives going behind the boat because it throws a decent weight.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you drop off or come off, you just
The boat
off
keeps
you go
going.
again.
boat keeps going. You have to stop the boat and go pick people up.
And we're doing the same thing with the jet ski the other day, where I was just literally holding onto the rescue sled.
Yeah, the sled.
And just getting enough speed to pull me up when my battery was getting low and take me out a bit further.
Yeah.
And get up to speed, and then use the foil drive to keep going and jump on the wave again.
Yeah.
And that whole weight thieving type thing, Devon's big on jumping off his dock, timing it right, get the jump right, then pump a crossover, steal someone's wake, wait for another boat to come back the other way, jump off a different dock. These guys are just doing that with their foil drives, and I think that's a pretty cool way to also, there's a lot of times when you're out on a wakeboard boat, you get over it and you want to come in for a bit too. You can still go out and have a play around and do your thing, as well as more people on the wake at the one time.
And I've got to say, the other biggest factor for me is calibrating to new equipment.
Yes.
So I hate to think about when you're prone foiling, paddling in, how many waves you got to catch to get used to a new setup.
Yeah.
Where with foil drive, 2 or 3 batteries, and I'm absolutely calibrated and dialed into any new equipment I've got.
Yeah.
Even just the inconvenience of wanting to change or try a different tail.
You wouldn't do it.
Positions. Even I was hesitant to try too much because I was like, well, I know this works. The surf's good. I don't want to waste a session or a portion of a session by having the wrong setup.
Exactly.
But now it's trivial. Like it's just like, I'll just sit back in.
You're going to
try this wing, which with the amount of wings and stuff out there now, it's like, God.
But also, like with Dom and Jamie being team riders for Access, like all the new Spitfire gear came, all the Art Pros and all that. The weather was crap. There was no surf. There was no downwinding. They all just went to the marina, and they were just bolting wings on, and then just e-foiling around, or put the motor up high, e-foil up, pump, and they tried like the entire range of foils. They got half an hour per foil in like 4 or 5 hours. And it was just done. The time on foil, like it's the same with learning any new skill or trying to analyze anything. You need time experiencing it.
Exactly.
And like coming back to what we're saying right at the start of like your time on foil, your time spent when you've got a few free hours, whatever, to go and do your hobby. You want to spend as much time as possible actually doing it. It's the same with learning. People learning, their skill is increasing so much faster because they're actually spending time on foil.
It's going to be very, very interesting for me because I haven't been on my wing for 6 months. And my foil skills 6 months ago were terrible. So I'm going to get on my wing as soon as summer's over, and the winds pick up in Dubai again. I'll get on my wing again and see what happens. But my foil skills are through the roof now, so it's going to be quite a transition.
Much the same as towing with the boys in Ballina.
Exactly.
The basic fundamental core skills of foiling have improved so much for you that it's going to help everything else.
And it's that transition. When I changed from the PNG range of Axis foils into the Art range, when I first got on the Art, almost like the foil drive originally, I put the Art 999 on, and piece of crap. Can't stand it.
Yep.
Gave up after the first go. And then I read a couple of posts online, watched a few videos, like, I've got to make this work.
Yeah.
So threw a few batteries in the foil drive and kept pushing and pushing, mastered it,
Yeah.
and now I only want to be on an art. Now I was probably a Spitfire as well now.
Yeah.
Yet again, I jumped on that the other day,
Good to go.
good to go. And you know, the length of the fuselage as well. I'm now down to the silly short, and I think I need to be even shorter.
So calling you Dylan Betts,
Yeah.
pumping around, and super short.
I think a lot of people miss out on the fun of progressing through different setups because if they're truthful about it and they actually documented how much time they actually get on foil and how many takeoffs they actually get to achieve, and this is just a broad statement, I could be wrong. I mean, plenty of people out there can do it, but it would be relatively low
Yeah.
versus if you got all the foil drives in the world and you logged how many times they've gone off the surface of the water, got on foil and caught some sort of swell
Minutes on foil,
or
yeah.
even no swell.
Yes.
If you looked at the amount of start, takeoffs, foils back into the water, like cycles,
Yeah.
it'll be through the roof for the people that are using a foil drive
Yeah.
relative to the people that are just doing it manual. That's not to say it's bad,
No.
it's just a data.
And I have so much respect
Yeah.
for guys who have learned to prone foil and never used a foil drive. Like, God, they've done some hard yards.
Yeah.
And I haven't cheated, but I've just fast tracked the track there.
There's plenty of people that have just slogged it out, got to the point where they can do it, and that's fine. And it's not as right or wrong. It's more just the point of progression,
Yeah.
speed,
Yep.
but also the ability to try lots of different things with no consequence.
Exactly.
And that is something I don't think people initially understand, because why would you? But once they've actually used the unit and got their head around it, they all agree that it eliminates this like fear factor of falling off the wave or not catching the wave or just getting the wrong setup, which normally prevents them from wanting to stray too far from what they know.
Yep.
And I myself know for a fact that I'm willing to try lots more stuff because I know even if I get it horribly wrong, at worst I'll just load it back in, change the wing, and it's not going to ruin my session.
Absolutely.
You know, and especially for downwinding, we've tried all sorts of different boards and wings and combos that normally you wouldn't even consider.
That's right.
Dave West's video is a perfect example of that. Of like, you know, he got the setup wrong, he chose the wrong wing, and that would have been horrific. That's a pretty committing downwind run that the guys did that day, and the weather conditions were not what they were meant
Just
to
didn't
be.
come in. Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. And he chose the wrong wing, and there was some gear problems and all that kind of stuff. But that would have been absolutely horrific run because of the location there too. When you jump off the point where they did, you're automatically got 5 Ks of cliffs. You can't come in.
You can't come in and see it
And
stop.
then there's one really shitty, rocky, dumpy beach to come in, and then you've got more cliffs, and then you've got all our mid-coast sort of surf areas, which again, you've got to come through all the way.
And that's a lot of pedaling if you're on a small board.
Yeah, and then you got to get the pickup all the way up when everyone else gets there and all that kind of stuff. So that would have been horrific for him. It was still a bad run, but he had some good sections, and he wasn't a complete just like throw the towel in, swear at the paddle and slap into the water type downwinder. But I want to come back quickly to boards and your setup and your experience and some learnings and tips from yourself. Dom and I recently have done a bunch of videos on small boards because if we step right back, four drive is and still was designed originally for bigger
boards,
bigger volume boards, and that's what everyone was kind of running them on. Around the time that you sort of bought yours and started to pick it back up again and experiment is when Dom really grandfathered the idea of putting the box in front of the board to run smaller boards, and then you just went to the extreme with that. And every time we logged onto the owners group on Facebook, it was like, holy crap, Victor's using a smaller
board and a smaller wing.
and smaller, and it was like, what do you do, 16 litres?
Yeah, I tried the
Something
16.
silly.
And
there was all these tips and techniques and things that you'd worked out again by experimentation.
Trial and error,
Time on the water is a big thing too. Like I saw something around small board, almost like a assisted beach start, jump off.
And on the big PNG wings, that works. So basically a jump start.
And then you're talking about dolphin kicking and all that. So talk us through a little bit of when you first got into those really small boards, because that really pushed and started the whole movement of small boards, box in the front, between you and Dom.
Gotcha. Look, I guess once you've got the taste of a small board,
Yeah.
I find it sickening to have a big board now, you might say. It just feels all this overhang and extra weight, and it just feels ungainly. So once you get the taste for a small board, and the four drive gives you the luxury to keep on a small board,
Yeah.
I'm just addicted to it. And the two things with the four drive was to save battery power
Yeah.
and to get you up a little bit faster. I sort of developed a dolphin kick, which is like as Paul was saying, a miniature pump, and also a double-handed swimming, you might say, freestyle.
And a lot of this started before the V2 control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've only got the V2 control in the last 2 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah.
And because you do have enough time as you paddle to
Yeah.
the V1 keeps working.
Yeah.
Just a couple of quick paddles and it gets you up. And this quick paddles, then a little dolphin kick, and you get you going.
Yeah.
And even if you have a small wave, you don't even need to do the paddles. Just a tiny little dolphin kick is enough to sort of release the foil
And it's
somehow
starting to pump
to get you going. You know, even a wave like 1 foot wave is more than enough to
Yeah.
get you up. And you know, I've never posted a video, but I've even got up on flat water with a 25 litre board and the Axis 699 Art. Yeah, we're talking.
Jeremy Wilmot got up. He can get up on flat water on his sub with no paddle.
Yep.
He can get up on a 799, and he's 95 kilos.
Wow,
as well.
okay.
Like, he's a big boy.
Wow.
Like just a solid guy.
Yep.
So it is possible. Granted, he can only do it once or twice.
Yeah.
And then the battery voltage starts to drop a little bit and it does sag. But it goes to show, like, we get a lot of emails of people saying I'm running a 16, 17, 1800 square centimetre foil and I can't get on foil. There must be something wrong with it.
Yep.
And it always sounds like a cop-out to say it's technique, it's practice. You've got to just keep trying.
I think
watch the videos.
the biggest thing is keep the board flat.
Yeah.
Keep the board flat is so important.
Yeah.
The moment you get any type of angle on it, it's
a
just
snowplow.
pushing water and
It's a ginormous snowplow.
exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to stay flat.
Yeah.
So just you have to obey the physics.
Yeah.
You can't ignore them. They will be in play whether you use a unit or not. But again, it's just that understanding. And it doesn't take much.
No.
And that's the
And it's
Facebook.
how far your weight is forward as well.
And the
It's
Facebook
so
group.
far on a small board,
Yeah.
or you feel like the one of those mermaids on the front of an old sailing ship. You've got your chest right over the front of the board.
Yeah.
Is
And
one
that's
of
where the
things-
Facebook group's been good,
Yeah.
is that it allows people to transfer this knowledge and discuss things and see, okay, so it is possible, but you got to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, that has been an interesting thing for us to observe, how it's one unit, but so many different people from all sorts of different
Different
walks
things,
of life and experiences and knowledge sets do different things and get different
Absolutely.
things out of it.
And I'm going to say, when you're starting off with the system,
Yeah.
order the longest cable you can. Because whatever you think you're going to start the system using,
Yeah.
it might be totally different later on.
Most people order 2 meters.
And it's funny, the smaller board you have, the longer you need the cable.
Yeah.
Because you're putting the box in the front.
Yeah.
So,
What's your, like, the other week you're up at Ballina, tow foiling, then jumped on the four-wheel drive. What's your thoughts around, you did tell us earlier that it does take you a little bit to adjust between going from a tow board with no weight on it to a four-wheel drive board, but you're still riding the same sort of boards, the same sort of foils,
Absolutely.
the same sort of conditions and waves.
it takes,
What's your...
mate, when I go from four-wheel drive to tow in,
Yeah.
it maybe takes me a couple of
turns.
not even turns, getting ups
Yeah.
to sort of get my balance again and understand the difference in having the weight at the front of the board. From a pumping point of view,
Yeah.
it's like you've had your I guess it's like when people do high altitude training for running and stuff.
Yeah.
I reckon four drive is like that, because when I pump on a board that has got the four drive on,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's light as hell,
Yeah.
and I've developed an extra strength from pumping the board with the four drive on the front. And
Yeah.
honestly, I've seen guys put four drives on their back and stuff like that. I don't feel any need for that whatsoever. The extra weight of the battery at the front really now
Yeah.
has become irrelevant to me.
It's funny you bring up that, like, it's like a training tool. So I've actually got another podcast I'm about to release with James Casey with him just chewing the fat. And I was saying the exact same things. When I was in year 12 doing all my exams, I used to like duct tape an eraser to the bottom of my pencil to
Okay.
strengthen my
Yeah,
hand when
yeah,
I
I
did all
did
my
the same
practice
thing, yeah.
exams. And then you take the eraser off for the exams and
Yes.
you're like,
Yep, exactly.
in that conversation with James, it's more about, like, practicing your technique for paddle. James is all about doing everything al natural, but using tools like a wing or a foil drive to help you better your technique,
Absolutely.
to train and to practice. Exactly what I'm saying. It is a handicap in some ways,
Absolutely.
in some aspects of foil.
Look, and I'm not a pro, and I just do it because I love doing it. I have no intention of doing any competitions or anything. But I have to say, I'm guessing, in my non-expert opinion, if you're not using a tool like foil drive as a professional, I think you're going to fall behind. Because I can't see you having enough foil time to keep ahead of everybody else. And it's going to be like any little bit you can get from a professional point of view. If you're an athlete, you use all the tools at your disposal.
I think the
From kick boards, or if you're swimming, to...
Look, I think the professionals have the luxury of they're either doing it for a job,
a time.
or they're so devoted to it that they do get so much water time.
Yeah.
They're professionals for a reason.
I guess
anyway.
they're towing in a lot of the time as well to test new equipment. But
We
still,
do have some, but there's definitely some extremely well-known foilers around the world who have a foil drive and use it from time to time and have fun.
Yeah.
But it's not the predominant tool that they use by any stretch because they don't technically need it.
yes.
But it's really nice knowing these guys that they're not obsessed with trying to always worry about being cool and their image. They see it for what it is.
Absolutely.
They enjoy using it, they have fun on it, and then when they don't need it or they're not using it, they go do something else.
Which
At the end of the
ties-
day, it's just a piece of gear.
And towing in with a jet ski versus foil drive, I actually think the towing in with the jet ski is actually more of a unnatural thing
I've done a bit of it,
than foil
and
driving.
it's fun it's fun as something different.
Yep.
But the one thing that just drives me nuts is I'm just going to get a handful of waves,
Yep.
and then it's someone else's turn, and
And
you
you
have
always
to
have
wait.
that guilt of a person on the jet ski and you're taking too long on there.
Yeah.
And it just for me personally, it always comes back to time. If I'm going to spend 3 hours away from the family and kids and work and everything else, I want 2.5 hours of that to be in the water foiling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the other 15 minutes either side is a frantic setup and a frantic pack up and go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want to spend 2.5 hours in the water and only get 10
And that's
rides.
why you should buy more batteries as well. So, honestly, the best thing you can ever do is buy more batteries. And I reckon optimum, you need 4 batteries, 4 large batteries and 4 small ones.
You're a
That's,
proper addict.
no, but you do, seriously. Because if you want to go out there and have a great time, 4 batteries will get you 2.5 hours of fun, including some breaks in between.
Depends on how you use
But
it.
that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking really small board,
Yeah.
really powering up through the sets on waves. If you're doing a foil, if you're doing downwinding, it can last you all day.
Yeah, it depends on
But
how you
even
use
when
it.
I go out, like at our, reef break sort of thing, I have a very different desire when I'm out foiling. I do enjoy I still ride quite a small SUP, but I still ride a SUP most of the time. And I quite enjoy just standing there, just paddling back out, enjoying my time on the water and watching other people fall past. All runs rings around me by preference.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy that bit of just sitting there and just cruising back out. So, and I'm a lot lighter than Paul as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can easily stretch a 2.5 hour session on
Yeah.
one battery.
Wow.
I only if we're going out and it's an hour before dark and it's absolutely firing will I go through 2 batteries.
Yep.
Because that's just
Different
that's just
style.
me.
Yep,
And,
gotcha.
and
Yeah,
some
I'm
people are
blasting through a
lazy.
battery every 25 minutes.
Exactly.
So
is Dom, for example. So it really does come down to how you want to use it. But
But, you know,
that's the cool thing
I've
about
never been
foil
on an SU
drive.
people
Yeah,
with a foil. Never.
that's the awesome thing
Never
about
been on.
foil drive,
Never
though.
been on a downwind board.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
You can tailor this gear to whatever you want.
Yep.
We can take your exact unit off your tiny little 15 litre board, and then I go and put it on a 140 litre board for somebody who's never foiled.
Yep.
Or for winging, or for downwinding, or whatever. The same unit, you just pull it off.
And I gotta say, teaching someone to foil
Yes.
is actually the best thing. It's
100%
better. It's better than
agree as well.
towing.
Yeah.
It's better than the big electric ones
Yeah.
because it actually teaches them the discipline of keeping the board flat. I've got a very large F1 blow-up board.
Yeah.
It's like the largest one they make. I can't remember the model, but it's like ridiculously long.
Yeah.
You throw it on that with a big wing,
Yeah.
and it's just so calm and relaxed for someone to learn to foil for the first time.
I must have taught at least 50 people to foil,
Yep.
at least.
Yeah.
Probably
And
more.
we don't have a school.
And you don't have that scary moment of, oh, I'm up on foil that
What
first time.
Yeah.
And when you're on a hard board,
Yeah.
it's
What I found is that when the learner has the throttle, and they're not being dictated to by an external person or
Yes.
force when the foil has got enough speed.
Exactly.
They can actually baby their way into it and very quickly make the connect between speed and lift
Yep.
and surface tension, releasing the board and whatnot. When you don't have that, when I learned to foil behind the boat, I hated it when the person was giving too much
Too much
throttle
power,
when I
not
didn't
enough.
when I didn't really want it because I wasn't ready.
Yep.
And I always had this external thing in the way of me trying to just work it out for myself.
Yep.
And once I had the drive, built the drive, it was like, oh, I'm in control now, and I can
Exactly.
work my way into it and baby my way into the process.
We're going to get very distracted now.
Yeah,
Some,
we can
we'll
see
look at the
waves.
There's actually some big sets coming in.
It's pumping.
Wow.
Yes.
Perfect.
Sorry, everyone.
Well, yeah, I mean, this has been awesome.
It's been great.
It's been epic to actually meet you. I know Paul's chatted with you
Yep.
a lot over WhatsApp and all that kind of stuff.
And honestly, I've been sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I've been eternally grateful to Foil Drive, and I really mean that. You've changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
You're very welcome. It's been a labour of love.
Definitely, and it makes it worthwhile when we do see videos of you on the group, see you out loving it, comments like that. I mean, we've just done a bit of a push on the website for like some more reviews and all that kind of stuff
Yep.
because we're almost pretty slack on all that kind of stuff. Like the Facebook group is great, but we understand not everyone's on there.
No, well,
so like,
exactly. Only existing users, I guess. So it's the new
getting
thing.
the reviews and getting the feedback, and we get texts and individual emails to us all the time, properly thanking us, and that's where we have to sit back. It's so easy to get caught up in all the day-to-day
Yep.
stuffs of making something from scratch, designing it, running it, testing it, producing it, shipping it out, and we share that with our crew too. Like
Yeah.
we've got a staff of 14 now.
17.
Plus 17, sorry, yeah. I keep, jeez, it keeps getting bigger.
Liam and Megan.
And
Yeah.
we didn't actually get into that part of it. And what we didn't talk about with me today was actually my real business is designing products for car companies around the world. Everyone from Toyota to Lexus to Lamborghini to
Up at the top of the second.
electric car companies, which I can't mention for non-disclosure reasons.
Yeah.
So I design and work with top car companies around the world with all their quality systems and their etc.
Yeah.
and everything that's required. And when I see what the job you guys have done with Foil Drive, it's absolutely fantastic. Your attention to quality, detail, and your customer support is second to none.
Yeah.
And
Appreciate that.
there may be cheaper systems come along or whatever it may be, but there's something about the Foil Drive ethos and the way you guys are. And the fact I'm sitting here now,
Yeah.
for no financial reason, I just love what you guys do and want you to succeed. And you deserve it, and the product is worthy of that. And
I appreciate
that,
that.
mate.
And it's, as I explained to some people, we're providing a DIY kit that you fit to yourself to your own board, and then it goes in the ocean.
Yep.
And it gets thrashed
Pretty
and
harsh.
smashed
Exactly.
through wind and
the
swell.
worst possible conditions.
Yeah.
And it's electric. It's a very difficult thing to make.
Yep.
We could make it utterly bulletproof, and it would be heavy
Yep.
and gross, and you wouldn't want it on your board,
Absolutely.
and then you miss all the fundamentals. It's actually a really difficult thing to achieve the critical fundamentals,
Yes.
still make it cost effective, be able to even make it,
Mhm.
then fit it to 85 different brands,
Yep.
and then still be able to make it that an average person can fit it. It's a freaking nightmare.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why we have to put
We're going to have to go. Oh, golly. Oh,
It's perfect.
golly.
all right, goodbye, Will.
Mate, it's
See
been
you later.
awesome.
All right.
See you
Catch
later.
you guys. Bye.
Car park. We're going to go down the bottom car park, but that is
That is
absolutely
awesome.
banging.
That's insane.